Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Jeffrey Epstein Show. I'm your host, Bobbycapucci, and this is a morning update. Ding dong, the witch has been arrested. It is time to rejoice. For one day, folks, for one day, let us savor this victory. Let us savor the fact that Ghislaine Maxwell is finally going to face justice. For over 260 straight days, I have been on this podcast screaming at the top of my lungs about this vile woman and the fact that she has not been arrested. And I cannot tell you how many times people have told me I was wasting my time, that we would never see justice in this case, that Ghislaine Maxwell would never be arrested, that Ghislaine Maxwell was in Paris, that there's no extradition laws in Paris, and we'll never get Ghislaine Maxwell. Oh, you're wasting your time. You're swimming uphill. Well, guess what? I knew I wasn't swimming uphill, and I knew that it was important to make sure that these atrocities were put under the spotlight on a regular basis. The survivors deserve that much from us. After all of the years of them being ignored, after all of the years of them being abused by the legacy media, the prosecutors, and Jeffrey Epstein's people, well, the shoe is now on the other foot, and the predator has become the prey. And I have to tell you, folks, it's all because of your hard work. All of the insane amount of time that you have put into this case, all of the pressure you have put on our elected officials, all of the pressure you have put on the legacy media. All of you out there, Sean Atwood, Jason Burmis, every single person who was involved in this as far as content creators, as well as all of you who are out there supporting the work that we do. Because at the end of the day, I'm speaking for myself anyway, this has become personal. This has become a personal struggle for me now, and I have always been the sort of person that steps up and addresses bullies, addresses people who think they can get away with abusing and picking on people who are not as strong as them. That has always been my biggest pet peeve. And once I got involved in this case, and I started researching it, and I started to hear the stories of these survivors, and I started to understand the scope of what occurred and how these young ladies were abused and bullied and treated like they weren't even human, well, the fighter in me decided it was time. And personally, this is the most rewarding work I have ever done in my life. Certainly not the most profitable as far as financially, but as far as giving me a feeling of accomplishment, this is by far the most rewarding work I have ever done. And seeing Ghislaine Maxwell get arrested today and knowing the feeling that the survivors must have right now in the pit of their stomach, and how happy they must be to finally see that the society cares, that the government cares, that somebody is going to step in and bring people to justice for what happened. Boy, that must be a great feeling, because I know right now I am walking on cloud 9, and I am far removed from this case in regards to what the survivors have went through. But what I will say is this: a lot of these survivors have become my friends throughout this whole ordeal, right? And you see the way they suffer, and you see what they have went through, and you see just the everyday battle that they've been engaged in for decades. And now we wake up today, and all of those struggles, all of that hard work, all of the sweat, the tears, the time put into it by these survivors and their lawyers has come to fruition, and the tree is now bearing fruit. And with thousands of years of RICO indictments hanging over her head, get ready for the canary to start to sing. Because that's what's going to happen. These charges that they're holding her on right now, those are just the first wave. That's how the government works when it comes to stuff like this. There'll be the first wave of charges. They'll have enough just to hold you, and then they'll continue to roll out them charges until you are suffocating and drowning in them. And that is the fate that Ghislaine Maxwell has to look forward to at this point. Because there's no going back from here. The evidence is there in abundance. And if they're truly going to prosecute this the right way, and it looks like they're going to, well, we're in for a very, very interesting ride, folks. Now remember, when this all started and we started to really get into this case, I told you all that when Ghislaine Maxwell was arrested, that I was going to pop a bottle live on air. Well, guess what, folks? That's exactly what's about to occur right now. I am popping a bottle of champagne as we occur on the podcast in honor of Ghislaine Maxwell being arrested. How about that? What do you think about that, folks, huh? Let's see, huh? In celebration of Maxwell being arrested, here is the bottle that I promised would be popped being popped. What up? All right, let's celebrate. Let's get a swig off of that, non-alcoholic for me, but for all of you that are celebrating out there with an alcoholic beverage, let's bring one up for a virtual toast. Let's enjoy today. Let's savor the win today. Let's savor this battle that we won today. And then tomorrow, we strap our work boots right back on and we get back at it, because there's still others out there that have to be brought to justice. Jean-Luc Brunel, you're next on the list, my man. You're targeted. I see you, we see you, and we're coming for you next. Folks, I've been waiting to pop that bottle and take a swig of that champagne for a very, very, very long time. Not really a fan of the way it tastes by any stretch of the imagination, but that sip of champagne was long coming. And, you know, all I can tell you folks is the battle still rages, the war rages on. But today is the day that we savor it a little bit. All the hard work, all the struggle, all of the days where you thought that this case would never move in this direction. I can't tell you how many times I've answered emails like that, and I've had people getting, thinking that we're never going to get to a point where there's justice in this case. And believe me, I felt like that at times too. But I knew that if we kept our nose to the ground and we kept grinding and we embraced that grind and we kept pumping out content and we kept keeping this story in the public view, that eventually we would get to where we are right now. And folks, I'm gonna enjoy today. I am most certainly going to enjoy today, and I hope that the rest of you following this case, who have been following it the way we have, I hope that you take the time to give yourself a little pat on the back, because you have all earned it. And I couldn't be prouder of any group of listeners, any group of people that I have ever been associated with. Right, left, communist, socialist, Republican, conservative, all of you, all of the listeners who have come together in this show and who have worked together and pitched in and sent me emails and sent me articles and sent all sorts of supportive emails to the survivors and supported the survivors. I'd be here all day thanking all of you, Kaylin and Lisa and Jen and Tarnia. It just goes on and on and on. So thank you guys so much for being so staunch in this battle and for having so much courage. And today is the day that we enjoy this. For one day, we have earned this. We have earned this win. And today we're going to enjoy it. So if you have a drink, put that mofo up. Let's clank them. Let's have a sip. If you're smoking a fat one right now, let's put it in the air. Let's have a puff. And let's remember, folks, where we started and where we are today, because it matters. Remember I talked about how it was like a football game, how we're on a long drive here, and we have to really, really buckle down when we get into the red zone so we can punch one in over the goal line? Well, that's what happened today. This is a touchdown. This is a big score. And we're going to savor it. And to all of the survivors out there, all of you ladies who listen to the podcast who have been affected by this disgusting man and the animals around him like Ghislaine Maxwell, you are not alone. We hear you, we are with you, and we are ready to rock. All right, so let's jump into the article. We'll read the article from the Daily Beast, and we'll go from there. Daily Beast. Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's confidant, Caught by the FBI in New Hampshire. This article was penned by Kate Bricklet and Jamie Ross. And the reason I chose this article is I wanted to show the Daily Beast some love, because the Daily Beast and Kate Bricklet especially have been fantastic throughout this whole entire thing. And I want to make sure that they get the props that they deserve. And as I don't know, not really a reward, because I highly doubt the Daily Beast gives a damn about me one way or the other. But I figured it was the right thing to do, reading their article about Ghislaine Maxwell, considering how much good work Kate Bricklet has done throughout this whole thing. So, Ghislaine Maxwell, Jeffrey Epstein's closest confidant, who hasn't been seen in public since his death, has been arrested by the FBI in New Hampshire, the Daily Beast has confirmed. Maxwell was arrested at 8:30 a.m. in Bradford, New Hampshire, on charges brought by the Southern District of New York. She is expected to appear in federal court in New Hampshire later Thursday. That has already happened. She has been arraigned. And like I said, the first few initial charges, those are just hold charges. So we really don't know what the feds have in their toolbox just yet. We don't know what they're going to whip out and smack her over the dome with. But I have a funny feeling, and I have a few people whispering in my ear that Rico is coming. The 6-count indictment against Maxwell, whose arrest was first reported by NBC News, states that she took part in the sexual exploitation and abuse of multiple minor girls by Jeffrey Epstein. From 1994 to at least 1997, Maxwell assisted, facilitated, and contributed to Jeffrey Epstein's abuse of minor girls by, among other things, helping Epstein to recruit, groom, and ultimately abuse victims. Known to Maxwell and Epstein to be under the age of 18, the 18-page indictment alleges. The victims were allegedly as young as 14 years old. So you see why I've called her a co-conspirator, a child molester? I don't need no alleged in front of that. I have all the evidence I need right in front of me, and I rolled with it. And guess what? We were right. Maxwell is accused of enticing minor victims to travel to Epstein's residences in different states, which Maxwell knew and intended would result in their grooming for subjection to sexual abuse. The indictment also alleges that in 2016, Maxwell provided false and perjurious statements under oath regarding, among other subjects, her role in facilitating the abuse of minor victims by Jeffrey Epstein. Folks, they are going to throw the book at her. This is just the very beginning of these charges being rolled out. She is about to get the whole book thrown at her. Their survivors were groomed and abused at multiple locations, including Epstein's mansions in Manhattan and Palm Beach, his New Mexico ranch, and Maxwell's London residence, according to the documents. Okay, so the documents say it happened in New Mexico, right? We know that. All of us definitely know that. Why has Zorro Ranch still not been raided? I'm going to be contacting the Attorney General of New Mexico once again today, and perhaps I'll get a response. The indictment refers to 3 survivors, including minor victim number 1, who was 14 when she met Maxwell. The socialite, nope, we're not calling her that no more. The co-conspirator, the molester, the child abuser, allegedly groomed the victim from 94 to 97 and involved her in group, sexualized massages of Epstein. Epstein and Maxwell transported the girl to residences in New York and Florida, prosecutors say. The couple abused minor, victim 2, in New Mexico in 1996. This accusation mirrors the story of Annie Farmer, who was flown to Epstein's ranch alone. And that's so significant, and I am so happy for Annie and Maria. This is such a validation of what they went through. And to be being honest and upfront, I consider Maria a friend at this point. And it really brings me great joy to know that after all of these years, Ghislaine Maxwell is going to suffer a penalty for what she did to Annie and what she did to Maria. A third victim was groomed and befriended by Maxwell in London between 1994 and 1995, according to prosecutors. Maxwell and Epstein would take the teenagers to the movies, on shopping trips, and some outings would involve Maxwell or Epstein spending time alone with a minor victim, the indictment states. These sick fucking people. Oh, they're so gross. I am so glad that she's arrested. It made my skin crawl reading these articles knowing that she was free. I'm like in a weird position right now. I don't know how to react really with this news. It's still settling in. I feel like I'm all over the place with this podcast, and if I am, you have to excuse me, but I'm just so excited to see that this lady's arrested, and it's so surreal to know that after all of these decades and after all of these days of covering this, that this lady is actually in bracelets. She has been arraigned, and she's going to face punishment. The indictment states, having developed a rapport with a victim, Maxwell would try to normalize sexual abuse by discussing sexual topics, undressing in front of the victim, being present when a minor victim was undressed, and or being present for sex acts involving the minor victim and Epstein, it adds. Maxwell helped put the victims at ease because an adult woman was present, prosecutors say, and this is an important part. We have to understand that it's not just men who can be predators. It's not just men who are screwed up. All of us, all human beings, are gray characters, men and women. And women are capable of great evil just like men, especially when they're involved in a cult-like environment such as the one Jeffrey Epstein provided. After Epstein's apparent jailhouse suicide, allegedly, the hunt was on for the deceased financier, pedophile's longtime consort, whom he once described as his best friend and who was complicit in the sexual trafficking of underage girls, according to his survivors. Yeah, well, the hunt was on for us. Now, I told you the FBI definitely knows where she is. It was all about evidence, what they were putting together, what sort of indictments they're looking at. And if it was RICO, well, I understand that it takes some time. But what I didn't understand was why they were letting her still run her mouth the way she was. Why they weren't just swooping her up. Well, hopefully going forward, the prosecution will explain what their game plan was, right? So we understand a little bit better. But I will tell you this much right now. There was no chance this lady was in France. I told you folks that from the jump-off point. Zero chance she was in France. She was not in Israel, okay? She was right here in the United States. The feds had their eye on her. And like I always say, nothing happens in this world when it comes to intelligence without the CIA putting their stamp on it. The Mossad is not this all-encompassing security force. Now, don't get me wrong. They're good at what they do, and they excel in these sorts of operations. But at the end of the day, the 500-pound gorilla in the room is the CIA. And there was no way that the CIA or the FBI was letting Maxwell out of the United States of America. The 58-year-old British heiress, co-conspirator, child molester, all-around scumbag, seemingly vanished after the feds busted Epstein, prompting publications to ask, where in the world is Ghislaine Maxwell? At one point last year, photos surfaced of the upper cruster at an In-N-Out burger in Los Angeles. The Sun reported in recent weeks that she was hiding out in a Paris flat. And all of this was misdirection, misinformation, typical of spies and people engaging in spycraft. We talked about this. We talked about how Ghislaine Maxwell grew up at her father's knee in a world full of spies. All she was doing while she was on the run was dumping disinformation and firing warning shots to people like Indictment and Khan. You're going to see. As this goes forward, wait, she's going to rat on all of these people, folks. She ain't built for this life. What, all of a sudden, she's more built for this life than Sammy the Bull Gravano? Absolutely not, my friends. She raised eyebrows in March by filing a claim against Epstein's estate, arguing the money manager promised to always support her financially, and that she was racking up legal bills and paying for private security because of death threats. Again, another threat to the estate. You better pay me. I have all the secrets. What's up? I want my dough. I want you to pay for my defense. And she knew that this was coming down the pipe. She understood that she was about to be indicted. She knew. Maxwell is a defendant in at least 3 pending lawsuits, including those filed by Annie Farmer and Jennifer Araz. Jane Doe's lawsuit claims the socialite, co-conspirator, molester, helped supply Epstein with a steady stream of young and vulnerable girls, many of whom were fatherless like Jane Doe and came from struggling families. And that's another reason I think that this hits me so hard and made me so damn mad. Look, I come from the inner city. A majority of my friends come from broken homes, male and female. I know what it's like to have nothing. I know what it's like to grow up, hard. And to see these girls who had nothing, never even had a chance of having anything, way worse than even my experiences. Because, when I was growing up, I might have lived in the inner city, but my parents always provided, right? I didn't come from a broken home. My parents have been married for, a very long time. And I had that benefit, at least. But the people around me, a lot of the people around me that came from broken homes, a lot of them ended up in bad circumstances. And a lot of them ended up at my house to find a little bit of normalcy because my parents were willing to provide it. So when I hear about him going after poor girls and underage girls and girls from disadvantaged backgrounds, I took that shit personal. And that's why you see me eviscerating these people on every single episode. Pure, visceral emotion is what this elicits in me. According to Araz's complaint, Maxwell hired the young recruiter who approached Araz outside her school and oversaw the process that led to the recruitment and grooming of Araz for Epstein. Maxwell is believed to have contacted Araz directly to arrange visits to the Upper East Side mansion, the lawsuit says. And they have documentation of this, right? The FBI has all the receipts. Today, my fellow Epstein survivors and I are able to take a breath of relief as Maxwell's arrest means some justice for survivors can exist, Araz said in a statement Thursday. For years, I feared Epstein and his ring. Maxwell was the center of that sex trafficking ring. Now that the ring has been taken down, I know that I cannot be hurt anymore. Day after day, I have waited for the news that Maxwell would be arrested and held accountable for her actions. Her arrest is a step in that direction, and it truly means that the justice system didn't forget about us. That's what I think about Jennifer Araz's statement, okay? That is what I think about it. She is right to say that. She is definitely right to think that. And the fact of the matter is, for all of these years, it's like the Justice Department did forget about them, but not no more. And it's not because the Justice Department is this great entity all of a sudden, but it's because of the pressure that was exerted by all of us and the incredible work of these survivors' lawyers that have pushed and pushed and pushed and made sure that this justice was coming. Maxwell, the daughter of the late disgraced British media tycoon Robert Maxwell, hobnobbed with the global elite, forging bonds with the Clintons. She attended Chelsea Clinton's wedding in 2010. And Donald Trump. She also partied with Britain's Prince Andrew, whom she introduced to Epstein. Epstein accuser Virginia Roberts claims she was forced to have sex with the prince when she was a teenager. Buckingham Palace has denied the allegations. David Boies, a lawyer for Roberts and other survivors, said, "This is a great day for justice." Damn right it is, Mr. Boies. Damn right it is. Our clients are very pleased and very grateful to the prosecutors that this important step has been taken towards bringing to justice Jeffrey Epstein's co-conspirators, Boies told the Daily Beast in a statement. Jeffrey Epstein did not act alone and could not have engaged his sex trafficking system without the help and support of others. Ghislaine Maxwell's indictment for her perjury in our civil case against her should answer once and for all who is telling the truth. Boy, oh boy, that is a shot across the bow, a slap in the mouth, and let me tell you what this really is, okay? This is a huge, gigantic victory for Virginia in that defamation case. And Alan Dershowitz, Mr. I Kept My Underpants On, is shitting bricks right now. Shitting bricks. Spencer T. Cooven, an attorney for a number of Epstein survivors, said her arrest and prosecution brings this sad story full circle to a close. We are proud of the FBI and the state's attorney's office for their voracious investigation, and the survivors are again hopeful that the justice system will hold these people accountable. He added, "We will now wait and see if this holds true." Well, we're not done yet. Oh, we are not done yet. The Core 4 and Jean-Luc Brunel. Once those 5 are also arrested, then I'll do a real victory lap. But again, we savor today. Today is a victory. We won the battle. The war still rages on, but we enjoy today. And these survivors most certainly should as well. If you see one of these survivors on Twitter today, make sure you reach out to them. You congratulate them. Tell them that you're with them, because they deserve that. After her father's death in 1991, Maxwell moved to New York, immersed herself in the city's social circuit, and dated the mysterious Jeffrey Epstein. Their romance faded, but she became his major domo. Ooh, using the old Roman terms here, major domo, huh? I see you, Kate Bricklet. Traveling companion, and according to Epstein survivors and their lawyers, his accomplice in an international child sex trafficking ring. Co-conspirator. Epstein's accusers have long claimed Maxwell recruited, groomed, and sexually abused the minor girls who visited Epstein's lairs in New York and Florida. During their 2005 investigation, Palm Beach cops tried to interview Maxwell but couldn't reach her, according to sealed testimony by retired detective Joseph Riccari. Maxwell's lawyers pointed out in one court filing that Riccari failed to uncover any evidence against her and that she was never considered a suspect by the government. Yeah, okay, and I am a bazillionaire. I am an oil sheikh from Saudi Arabia. Want to come hang out in my Bedouin desert dwelling? In 2009, Maxwell was identified as a recruiter for Epstein in a lawsuit filed by Roberts, who was then identified only as Jane Doe 102. The suit was one of many filed by survivors after Epstein's 2007 sweetheart deal with the U.S. Attorney's Office in Miami. Don't think I forgot about that, George W. Bush and friends. While cops found Epstein molested dozens of girls, Epstein pleaded guilty to 2 state charges and served only 13 months in jail, mostly on work release. Roberts went public in an interview with the Daily Mail in 2011 and again accused Maxwell of facilitating her sexual encounters with Epstein and Prince Andrew. Again, Virginia, the bravery that you have shown and the courage that Robert has shown standing by your side this whole entire time. I want to take a minute to recognize Robert right here and right now. Because guess what, folks? The unsung hero is always the partner of the person who has went through the trauma, be it a disease or something as heinous as this. Robert deserves all the credit in the world. That's what being a man is. So I salute you, my dude. I've told you this when we've talked before, and I'm telling you again now. What you have done with Virginia, the courage that you have displayed standing side by side with her when everybody else bounced on her, nobody wanted to stand up with her and stand up for her. My dude, you deserve a medal, and if I had one to give you, I would give it to you today. She told the tabloid that when she was 18, Epstein hinted she was too old for him, and that he and Maxwell once suggested Roberts have Epstein's child. They said I would have to sign a contract relinquishing rights to the child and consenting to Jeffrey having as many relationships as he liked, Roberts told the Mail. It was a smack in the face. On January 5th, 2015 court filing by Roberts further implicated Maxwell. She said that when she was 15 or 16, Epstein and Maxwell trained me to do what they wanted, including sexual activities and the use of sexual toys in New York and Florida. I hope that Maxwell gets the same treatment when she's in the federal lockup. Put her in general population and let the inmates do their work. Ghislaine Maxwell was heavily involved in the illegal sex. I understood her to be a very powerful person. She used Epstein's money and he used her name and connections to gain power and prestige, Roberts stated in a declaration. One way to describe Maxwell's role was as the madam. She assumed a position of trust for all the girls, including me. Oh, wow. What Virginia has went through, folks, is absolutely mind-boggling. And the way she pulled an end around on the legacy media and used social media was a stroke of genius. But Maxwell allegedly used that trust to also sexually abuse dozens of girls herself, sexually abused dozens of girls herself and take nude photos of them, Roberts claimed. She had sex with underage girls virtually every day when I was around her, and she was very forceful, Roberts stated. I first had sexual activities with her when I was approximately 15 at the Palm Beach mansion. I had many sexual activities with her over the next several years in Epstein's various residences plus other exotic locations. Again, folks, let the inmates do their work. Put her on the main line, on the main car, and let's see how hard she is. In response, Maxwell called Roberts' bombshell claims obvious lies, prompting the accuser to file a defamation suit months later. The lawsuit was settled in 2017, and the Miami Herald took legal action to unseal a trove of thousands of documents in the case. Epstein attorney Alan Dershowitz and right-wing blogger Mike Cernovich also rallied to release certain court filings in the matter. A tranche of records in the Roberts v. Maxwell were unsealed August 9th. Epstein committed suicide, allegedly, at the Metropolitan Correctional Center the next day. Lawyer Brad Edwards, who has been fighting for justice on behalf of the Epstein survivors since 2008, told the Daily Beast, "Today is a long time coming. As you read in my book, Ghislaine was an important part of the enabling Epstein to do what he did. Our clients are relieved that the SDNY prosecutors are committed to holding everyone accountable." Another person who was a hero in this story, Bradley Edwards, another person that you should reach out to if you're on social media and you see him, and give him a nod and let him know that we see him and we appreciate his hard work. Because all you have to do is listen to the survivors talk about Bradley Edwards and his courage, and it's quite obvious that that's a man you would want defending your daughter if she was in this position. Sigrid McCauley, an attorney for Roberts and other Epstein survivors, said, "The victims of Ghislaine Maxwell breathe a sigh of relief knowing that this sexual predator, who not only engaged in sexual abuse herself, but also assisted Jeffrey Epstein for decades in running his sexual trafficking scheme, is behind bars. The pain she has caused will never go away, but today is a step towards healing," she added. "I am so proud of the women we have represented over the last 6 years who never gave up fighting for justice. Today we saw prosecutors who had unrelenting courage work to take down a sexual trafficking scheme. Today is also a powerful message to all Epstein accomplices that justice will prevail." Goddamn right, Sigrid McCauley. All the co-conspirators that are out there, if you listen to this podcast, you already know 2020 is the year that the predator turns into the prey. And now your boss is the first one we went after. The first one. The first domino to fall. Talk about big game hunting, huh? Folks, I am over the moon happy right now. And I am going, like I said, I'm going to take the rest of the day and I am going to savor this. I'm going to put one in the air. I'm going to drink my non-alcoholic champipple over here. And I'm going to enjoy my damn day. And I suggest all of you who have worked hard on this case, I suggest you do the same thing. And to all of the survivors out there who might be listening, I just want you all to know, you are not alone. We are all in this with you. We are shoulder to shoulder with you, and we will continue to pursue justice. And when the trial starts, when Ghislaine Maxwell is sitting there, and her accusers and these survivors are sitting in the courtroom, I will be there as well, either outside the courtroom covering it or inside the courtroom, because I am seeing this all the way through to the very end at this point. Ghislaine Maxwell, enjoy your time in the clink. If you'd like to contact me, you can do that at bobbycapucci@protonmail.com. That's BOBBYCAPUCCI@proton. You can also find me on Twitter at BOBBY_CAPUCCI. Inside the description box, you will find a link to the article, and you will also find a link to the GoFundMe account if you would like to help the podcast. Until later on, everybody, enjoy your day, savor it, and put one in the air for the survivors and the justice that is on its way.